Staying with the youth-related news, we now cross to our reporter, Sibonga-konke Mbatha in KwaZulu Natal. She is outside the home of the first ANC Youth League in Umbumbulu. Good morning and welcome to the agenda this morning. What do you have for us this morning there, Sibonga-konke?
A very good morning, as of course it is the 16th of June where the entire country celebrates and most importantly commemorates the day where the youth of 1976 marched and made sure that what they were fighting for is made aware. They fought for their rights. And of course this particular morning we would like to just stretch back a bit and look at the young people before 1976, stretching back all the way to 1944 where the first ANC Youth League president was elected into power, him being Anton Muziwakhe Lembede. And of course, this morning we are coming to you live from outside his homestead in Umbumbulu at a place called Embo Village where he grew up. Of course, we will recall that when he was born in 1917 on the 21st of March, this is not the particular place where he was born in. His family moved here much later on, but he spent most of his youth life here up until he started school. He did of course start school a bit late. He started school when he was 13, but because of his zeal and passion for education, even at that time his mother was giving him classes from home. By the time he started school when he was 13 years old, he was on par with his fellow peers at the time, and of course his education career seemed to surface and it took off from that moment. We saw him graduating 10 years after that with a BA degree in teaching from Adams College. That's where he started and then moved on to study law at the University of South Africa. But as I had mentioned before, that we're coming to you live from his homestead to find out the type of young person Anton Muziwakhe Lembede was as a youngster. I have with me the daughter of Lembede's brother, who is Lembede's niece, Sibonga-konke Lembede, who's going to take us through the type of person Muziwakhe Lembede was in the family. A very good morning, ma.
Good morning.
Take us through the type of person your uncle was growing up before he decided to join the political field.
Anton Lembede was a brilliant person. He was very active. He loved his country. He loved being an African. In his youth life, he studied very much and he wanted to be a great person. As at the end, he became a great person, becoming the first president of the ANC Youth League.
And of course, as growing up, he's someone who was very passionate about education. That are some of the struggles that he sought and fought for as a youth leader at that time. Looking at young people as we celebrate Youth Day this morning, is the same fight still continued? Is his legacy still carried on?
Yes, his legacy is still carried on because as we are having freedom today, it's because of their fighting for freedom at that time.
What would you say could happen in his memory to continue his legacy? We do understand that one of the longest streets in the Durban CBD is named after him, but what more can be done to make sure that his legacy lives beyond than just the CBD street on our road?
I think many things should be named after his name, like schools, hospitals. Those are the things that should be named after him, not only the road.
What would you say young people can learn from the type of leader he was at that time, seeing that by the time you grew up, he was already someone you would look up to?
I think youth of today should be bold, should be strong, should earn the victory and fight for their rights, even today.
Thank you very much, ma.
Thank you very much.
That was, of course, Sibonga-konke Lembede, who is the niece of Anton Muziwakhe Lembede. We will recall that his life was indeed short-lived as he passed away 3 years late after he was president of the Youth League. And of course, his legacy is emphasized to be held and promoted moving forward. Young people of today share a different struggle, but as Lembede has just emphasized, that they should carry on the baton and make sure that his passion for education, passion for boldness and power amongst young people, making sure that they're empowered to fight for what they believe in, is carried on. And of course, behind me, as you can see, there will be a buzz of activity in a few moments, because there is a celebration that will start in a few minutes just outside the Lembede household. And of course, later on, we will be speaking to ANC Youth League, former ANC Youth League president as well, our minister, Mr. Malusi Kikaba, to just make sure that we get to understand the type of legacy he left within the youth structure of the ANC. For now, it's back to studio.
Sibonga-konke, just before we let you go, what I wanted to talk to you about was the whole issue raised about the youth of today facing a different struggle altogether. Talking to them on the ground, what is the most important issue that they are battling with as the youth, more especially in Umbumbulu?
Young people in this particular area, you do understand that it's on the outskirts of the CBD. We traveled quite a few kilometers this side, and of course it's still quite a rural area. But of course, you will recall that the most important struggle that young people have demonstrated in recent years was for free education. We did see some highlights of that happening. And of course, there was an announcement made by the former president allowing that young people will have free education, tertiary institutions in particular. But of course, young people at this stretch of the area are faced with different struggles altogether, even though education is partly one of the main ones, but of course access to knowledge, libraries, access to closer schools, of course all of that builds up, it goes around education itself. So that's one of the main struggles that young people are facing, as well as job opportunities. Job opportunities are very scarce for young people across the country, and of course it is a dire situation for young people in rural areas in particular, because access to facilities is much more difficult as compared to young people in central towns.
Now, let's also talk about the restoration of the legacy of Anton Muziwakhe Lembede in the area. What is it that's been done to see to it that such a legacy is restored in that area?
As of course you had heard earlier on when I was asking Ma Lembede that what can be done to make sure that his legacy is maintained and sustained for following generations. She did highlight that for now, nationally, as we know, there is one of the longest streets in Durban CBD is named after him. Not just him, Dr. Pixley Kaseme, as well as Dr. A.B. Xuma. These are the people he went strides with during his political career. But of course, Ma Lembede did express that she does wish that more can be done, like naming schools after him, naming libraries after him, because he was someone that was very passionate about education.
Of course, that's our colleague Sibonga-konke Mbatha coming live from Umbumbulu, south of Durban, where the first ANC Youth League president, I'm talking about Anton Muziwakhe Lembede, was of course born.